Blank is the value of a statistic that estimates the value of a parameter. So let's see what choices we have. So value for statistic that estimates the value for parameter. So the only thing that has the word estimate with it is point estimate. So this is more a question of English than anything else. Now explain what 98% confidence means in a 98% confidence interval. So in a confidence, this chapter is about confidence intervals. So what we do is we study a sample. So let's say we are interested in heights of all the females aged 20 or above. So obviously we can't reach out to all of them. So what we do is we take a sample of, let's say, 50 such girls who are aged 20 or above, and we note their average height. And based on, let's say their average height comes out to be 65 inches. And based on that, we want to say something about the overall population. So we make statements like that, okay, I'm 98% confident that among the population of all the girls aged 20 or above, the average height is 62 to 68 inches. So this is 62 to 68 is a confidence interval. And what that means is that, so here I gave the example by taking a sample of size 50. So let's say one person takes a sample of 50 girls, another person takes a sample of some different 50 girls. Now there could be some overlap, but they don't have to be the same 50. And similarly, different people keep taking it. So if I'm 98% confident that the average height lies between 62 and 68 inches, for example, then what that means is that if I take 100 such intervals of 62 to 68 inches, then among 98 of these intervals, we expect that the population parameter would be somewhere in there, and 2% of them will not have the population parameter. So it's choice B here, that if you take 100 different confidence intervals based on different sample of size n from the same population, then we expect 98 of the intervals to include the parameter and 2 to not include the parameter. Days before a presidential election, an article based on a nationwide sample of registered voters reported the following statistic: 52% plus minus 3% registered voters will vote for Robert Sam. What's plus minus 3%? So when you make statements like this, that there's a 52% chance, plus minus 3%, what that means is that this plus minus 3% is the margin of error. So this is it. Researchers studied that the mean egg length for a bird population after taking a random sample of eggs, they obtained a 95% confidence interval of 45 to 60. So what's the margin of error? Now, margin of error is always the interval length divided by 2. So let's write it down. So this is the picture which you should have in mind. So let's draw it. Draw. So if you have this interval, let's say this is the lower bound and this is the upper bound of the interval, then margin of error equals half of the interval length. The interval length will be u minus L, And if you divide that by 2, you get margin of error. So in the picture, if this is the midpoint, then margin of error is this distance from the midpoint to either end. Either you could go from the midpoint to U, or you could go from the midpoint to L. Either of them is the margin of error. And this midpoint is the point estimate. So point estimate that is the midpoint of the interval, and you know that midpoint is U plus L divided by 2. So margin of error is U minus L divided by 2, and point estimate is U plus L divided by 2. So in this case, we want the margin of error. So U minus L divided by 2. So 60 minus 45, and then you divide the result by 2. So 60 minus 45 is 15, and then you divide that by 2, you get 7.5.